The United States just convened a meeting to which 70 countries were invited. The purpose allegedly is to send foreign troops to Gaza to police Hamas, but as we'll get into here in a minute, there are some much darker things happening with all of this. As this happened, the US is also in talks to sell F-35s to several Arab countries, and Israel is reportedly furious, and Iran just issued actual threats for war against Israel yet again. Even though things move incredibly fast on the world stage, you'll probably remember that Israel is in a ceasefire with Hamas, holding parts of Gaza as a security zone. And in the meantime, President Donald Trump has promised to find some way for either the US or other countries to police Gaza, removing Hamas's ability to retrain and rearm. And the way Trump seems to be doing this is to invite 70 nations to convene in a conference in Doha, and apparently over 45 of those nations did in fact attend. We're talking Egypt, Indonesia, Jordan, Italy, France, the UK, Canada, Saudi Arabia, the EU, Pakistan, and the list goes on and on. Immediately, this event raises some major red flags. Many of these countries of the last few years have become breeding grounds for radical Islam. In their streets, attacks on Jews are becoming more and more common. After Hamas's initial attack on Israel, hundreds of thousands gathered in mobs across these countries to call for the death of the State of Israel. Many of these countries have openly lobbied for the creation of a homicidal Palestinian state, even after October 7th. And many of these nations are active members of the International Criminal Court, who have open arrest warrants issued for Bibi Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, and who just rejected an appeal by Israel to have those warrants lifted. These countries are meeting to decide on sending their troops to Israel's borders to so-called bring peace and security to Gaza. If that doesn't raise red flags for you, I don't know what would. And need to remind you that as members of the International Criminal Court, many of these countries are legally bound to arrest those with warrants signed by the court, meaning almost all of these countries would in fact arrest Israel's prime minister if he were to set foot on their soil. So that's the kind of situation we're dealing with. Apparently, the official purpose of the meeting was to decide a mandate for policing Gaza and to allocate resources, troops, supplies, etc. The report is that 19 countries have already pledged to send troops to Gaza, that or logistical support or equipment. But get this, at this time, these countries are saying that they will only send their troops to areas of Gaza controlled by Israel, like on the Israeli side of the yellow line, meaning foreign troops sent to Gaza wouldn't actually be policing Hamas at all. They would be basically policing the actions of the IDF, a very concerning piece of information. Apparently, the US isn't happy with this arrangement and is pushing for foreign troops to actually operate in the Hamas-occupied area of Gaza, or what's called the Red Zone today. There are reports that Israel is very concerned about where things are headed with all of this. Apparently, the US and Israel have been a bit at odds over the enforcement of the ceasefire in Gaza. The original agreement was that Israel would create that yellow line that we spoke about, and that if Hamas crossed that line, they would be considered in violation of the ceasefire and dealt with accordingly. But on several occasions now, when terrorists have crossed that line and been neutralized by Israel, the American State Department has lashed out, saying that Israel violated the ceasefire agreement. And from Israel's point of view, this is very concerning, especially considering the poor track record Washington has with things like this in the past. And it's especially concerning to see talks of sending foreign troops who actively hate the state of Israel, who would arrest Israel's prime minister if he set foot on their soil, those troops being deployed alongside the IDF to hamper their efforts in defending the borders of the state of Israel, which we all know is what would happen. And then on top of all of this, America just announced that they are in talks with Qatar and the Saudis to possibly sell them F-35s. We'll get into that in a second, but first, if you're a Christian who believes in standing with the nation of Israel, I've got something important I want to tell you. In 2025, we here at the Israel Guys have reached over 20 million people with the message of Israel. We have been privileged to bring in nearly 200 volunteers to the mountains of Israel, to Israel's heartland, to connect them with the events of the Bible unfolding before their eyes. We are very privileged to get to put our hands in the soil, to sweat on behalf of the restoration of this land. But this task takes more than just sweat. Our operations cost something. The videos we produced, the heavy machinery, the equipment, operating costs, it all costs something. If you believe in the covenant that God made with Israel, if you believe that God has a plan for the Jewish people to prosper in their land, if you believe that the mountains of Israel, the mountains of Judea and Samaria should be restored and reclaimed for Israel, then please consider joining us. We have generous donors who are willing to match gifts given in this campaign. So everything that is given will be doubled for twice the impact. Every dollar you give means more trees, more vines, more cattle, more sheep, more flourishing Jewish communities being built up in the land of Israel. To make a real difference in the land of Israel today, go to theisraelguys.com/double or click the link in the description below. According to information leaked from the American State Department, foreign troops could be deployed to Israel as soon as January, although others involved in the operation are saying that it will happen much later than that. On a positive note, though, despite strong objections by Qatar and Egypt, Turkey was not invited to the conference. But even with that, Channel 12 News in Israel just dropped a report that America is close to a major arms deal with several countries in the Middle East. This deal would involve selling a package of F-35 fighter jets to both Qatar and Saudi Arabia, and possibly in the future, Turkey and the UAE as well. Apparently, this is very concerning for Israel, as F-35s in the hands of neighboring countries like this would erode Israel's technological edge when it comes to military strength. According to reports, Israeli officials are requesting to be allowed to purchase more F-35s themselves, also F-15Is and expanded advanced munitions as well. I think the hope is that if Israel could get a contract in first with the American military, that maybe they could stall the delivery of fighter jets to Arab countries for a couple of years and maintain their edge for a little bit longer. All of this is very concerning, to put it mildly. This comes as posters were seen to surface in Tehran, in Iran, written in Hebrew and Arabic that said, "Towards the next war, Nahariya, get ready." This is a clear threat towards the state of Israel. We know that Iran isn't finished. They are only biding their time. They are rearming. They are building thousands of missiles. They are building new systems to be able to launch hundreds of missiles at a time to increase the size of their attacks on Israel. They are trying to spin up their nuclear facilities yet again. And it's just a matter of time before Israel goes back into a full engagement with the Iranians yet again. On a positive note, the Israeli government just decided to give legal status to 19 more settlements in Judea and Samaria, including 2 that Israel withdrew from in 2005, which is an amazing move. The truth is, we all know that while nations argue on the world stage to quote-unquote decide Israel's future security, the real security comes when Israel walks in faith, when they build up the land promised to them by God. Every community built in Israel is more strength added to her borders, both physically and spiritually. Guys, if you want to support our work here at the Israel Guys with these videos and the work we do boots on the ground in Judea and Samaria, you can head over to theisraelguys.com/double. Happy Hanukkah, and as always, thanks for watching.